RealAgriculture.com's coverage of NCBA 2012 in Nashville is brought to you by the Corn School. Visit us at cornschool.com and Haney Farms, the certified barley and corn seed for the silage yield you want.
We're joined right now on RealAgriculture.com by Dwayne Lend with Cattlefax, based out of Denver. Welcome today, Dwayne.
Thanks, Sean. How are you?
Doing good, Dwayne. You know, NCBA 2012, we're in Nashville. There's a lot of optimism here this year.
It really is. You know, prices that came up from when we visited a year ago and set record highs, it seemed like every day, and people are just going along for the ride.
Yeah. So I get one of the main things I hear back from producers this week at the show is that there's some profit in the market right now for ranchers, at times for some feeders, depending on when you purchase your feeder cattle.
Yep.
But will these prices hold?
We think they do, Sean. We think we're in a rebuilding. We're going to have to rebuild this herd. Exports are strong. It's just going to take a while to get more beef on the marketplace to force the market lower at this point in time. So not that we're wildly higher, but we think that we can hold in here and be at a different trading range for the next couple of years.
One of the first things that when you say that, people jump to, well, what about the world economy?
Yeah.
You know, how can people afford beef that's this expensive?
Yeah, and you know, we've done a lot of work, and when you look at U.S. and Canadian beef on the world marketplace, we're still, with the dollar changes, very reasonably priced. You know, we're not that far different than beef from South America, certainly Wagyu beef in Japan. So worldwide, we're real competitive on our beef prices.
A lot of the producers are, from a feed yard perspective, looking at obviously input costs, feeder cattle being one of those costs, and they are expensive.
They are.
Do you expect those prices to be trending higher this year as well?
Yeah, we think we'll have new records in it, assuming, of course, we get a corn crop, a barley crop, get some feed, which right now looks like we can have some lower grain prices. So with the optimism out there from the feedlot side, the premiums in the back end of the fed cattle board, and what everyone that perceives as tighter supplies, feeder cattle and calf prices are probably going to stay stout.
What kind of effect, last year obviously there was Texas, huge drought.
Yep.
What kind of carryover effect does that have into this year's beef market?
Well, you know, it's going to put more beef on the front end of the year and probably less on the back end because those cattle have been placed. If we can get a little bit of water down there now, hopefully they'll start keeping some cows and some calves back, which will tighten the supply further. And as you go through time, then tighten the supply later on this year into next year.
We've got a 60-year low in the size of the U.S. cow herd.
Yeah.
What has to happen for us to start building back?
Profitability. You know,
are we starting to see some of that now?
We are. Yeah, and if you see where we have water and feed, primarily in the North Plains, we're seeing more heifers kept back up there. We're seeing the cow kill drop. Cow-calf pair prices, bred cow prices, all extremely high, and that's adding to the optimism, people wanting to buy more.
Because the bred cow prices have been so pretty steamy as far as prices.
Yeah, they have, but they really not kept up with the fed cattle increase that we saw a year or two. So they've had a little bit of a lag, but now they're catching up in a hurry.
There's still some room for movement upwards.
Probably is.
So and that's a challenge for producers because what they do is they look at it and say, "Oh,
yeah,
missed my opportunity. I should have got in a year ago or 2 years ago." So those are some of the financial decisions guys are dealing with.
It really is, and you know, especially if you're an older producer, and we have quite a few of those, and boy, these cow prices up here, do you want to jump in or you want to just kind of stay where you're at and see how it goes next year or two?
With the higher prices of feeder cattle and feed, one of the challenges for a lot of producers is access to financing. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, if the bank doesn't expand your loan, you're not buying as many head as you were last year. So that's a real challenge that a lot of guys I've talked to are dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, so far, with the credit's been fairly easy to come by. But, you know, if we start showing a lack of profitability, start losing some money, then I think the lender's going to relook at it probably in a hurry because of how much risk is in this marketplace with high prices.
Thanks a lot, Dwayne.
Thank you, Sean.